Your entire life you've been judged by a standard that was never real. They told you intelligence was measurable, a score, a certificate, a number that supposedly defined your worth. They said being intelligent meant memorizing information, passing exams, solving problems faster than others. That lie was convenient, not accurate. Real intelligence has never lived in classrooms. It lives in leverage, in survival, in the ability to shape reality before it shapes you. Machiavelli understood this. So did the great strategists history remembers. While the majority focused on looking intelligent, a small minority focused on becoming powerful, there is a hidden hierarchy, a cognitive ladder that decides who leads and who follows, who consumes and who is consumed. Most people never climb it. They believe they are making choices, while unknowingly executing scripts written by someone else. But some ascend. There are 7 levels of intelligence, 7 stages of psychological awakening. What you're about to see will be uncomfortable. Once you recognize this hierarchy, you won't be able to unsee it. Faces around you will change. You'll notice the silence behind their eyes, the invisible strings guiding their movements. The only question is this: are you willing to see where you stand? Chapter 1: The Sleeper. Walk through a crowded street in London at 8:30 a.m. Faces forward, eyes empty, bodies moving on schedule. This is not stupidity. This is sleep. The sleeper may be educated. He may wear a suit. He may work in finance, law, medicine, or tech, but psychologically he is unconscious. His intelligence operates only in response. He does not initiate life. Life initiates him. The alarm dictates his movement. The calendar dictates his priorities. Authority dictates his beliefs. He believes he is choosing, but he never pauses long enough to ask why. Ask him why he holds an opinion and watch what happens. He reaches outward. A headline, a post, a phrase borrowed from someone louder than him. Machiavelli understood men like this were endlessly exploitable, not because they lacked intelligence, but because they lacked agency. The sleeper lives in external control. When things go wrong, the blame travels outward. The economy failed him. The government betrayed him. His partner ruined him. Luck abandoned him. Responsibility never enters the room. Freedom terrifies him more than oppression. Choice feels heavy. Autonomy feels dangerous. So he seeks structure, rules, permission. He watches others before acting, checks consensus before thinking, follows trends to feel safe. His deepest fear is not being wrong. It is standing alone. These people power cities like New York and Manchester. They keep systems alive. They consume. They repeat. They disappear. If a sleeper begins to wake, pain appears. Confusion. Discomfort. A sense that life feels borrowed. That pain is not depression. It is awareness-piercing sedation. But awakening does not create wisdom immediately. It creates noise. Chapter 2: The Mimic. The mimic believes he has awakened. He has discovered that intelligence is rewarded, respected, applauded, but instead of developing his own mind, he borrows others. He wears intelligence like clothing. At dinner parties in Toronto, he drops complex words. On social media, he adopts the latest moral position. In conversation, he quotes thinkers he has never wrestled with. Books are skimmed. Opinions are copied. Convictions are performative. At this level, intelligence becomes aesthetic. He collects credentials like trophies, degrees, certifications, titles, not for mastery, for validation. This is the most dangerous stage because the mimic feels superior to sleepers. He believes he sees the game, but he is still dreaming. Machiavelli warned about men who mistake the appearance of virtue for virtue itself. Challenge a mimic beyond rehearsed territory and he collapses. Ask him to create something original. Ask him to solve a problem without precedent. Panic appears. He can repeat. He cannot build. His identity depends on approval from the intellectual tribe he wants access to. Question him and he becomes aggressive, defensive, rigid. If you find yourself arguing to win rather than to understand, if you memorize arguments instead of seeking truth, you are here, bright, vocal, empty. The mimic is not awake. He is just wearing a different mask. To ascend, validation must die. Chapter 3: The Calculator. The calculator stops performing. He stops caring how he appears. He cares only about outcome. This is the first level of true agency. Rules are no longer sacred. Morals are no longer absolute. Systems are no longer fixed. They are tools. This is the fox Machiavelli described. The calculator studies incentives, identifies fears, understands leverage. He climbs not by effort, but by precision. He knows when to speak and when to disappear. Who to please, who to ignore. In offices across Los Angeles and Chicago, calculators rise fast. They maneuver quietly. They win efficiently, but something erodes. People become pieces. Relationships become transactions. Trust dissolves. The calculator assumes everyone is playing the same game. He watches his back constantly. He sleeps lightly. Power grows, peace does not. Many successful men stop here. They have money, status, access, but they are still trapped. They win games designed by others. They react within systems they didn't build. They are effective, not free. To rise further, calculation alone is insufficient. Force must enter. Chapter 4, The Enforcer. At some point, calculation stops being enough. The enforcer understands this early. He has seen manipulators lose control, seen charm fail, seen clever men collapse when consequences arrive. So he becomes consequence. This man does not raise his voice. He does not posture. He does not threaten. He lets reality speak for him. In London boardrooms, when a deal breaks, the enforcer doesn't argue. He withdraws access, removes protection, lets silence apply pressure. People feel his presence even when he's not in the room. Women respond to this differently than men expect. Not with excitement, with grounding. Around the enforcer, emotions slow down. Drama loses oxygen. Chaos feels unwelcome. A woman like Emily in Manchester may not understand why she relaxes around him, only that she does. He doesn't explain himself. He doesn't justify boundaries. He doesn't negotiate respect. He enforces it quietly. But force alone creates distance. The enforcer is respected, feared, trusted in crisis, yet rarely loved. Power without warmth creates compliance, not loyalty. And Machiavelli knew something critical. Force builds order, but order alone does not bind hearts. Chapter 5, The Strategist. The strategist integrates force with foresight. He doesn't react. He positions. Where others rush, he delays. Where others speak, he observes. He thinks in timelines. In New York, while men chase opportunities loudly, the strategist watches who controls access, who influences emotion, who people follow when fear enters. He understands patterns before events unfold. Women sense this long before they articulate it. A woman like Sarah in Toronto notices how conversations bend toward him without effort, how people check his reaction unconsciously, how he never scrambles. Security emerges, not excitement, not chaos. Security. He doesn't chase her attention. He allows it to drift toward him naturally. The strategist knows something few men accept. Attention pursued loses value. Attention allowed gains weight. He creates space, silence, distance, not his tactics and his default posture. But even strategy has limits, because no matter how calculated, how positioned, how composed, the strategist still operates within systems. True dominance requires authorship. Chapter 6, The Architect. The architect does not play games. He designs them. Rules do not restrain him because he understands where they came from. He doesn't rebel. He replaces. In Silicon Valley, architects don't argue with platforms. They build alternatives. In London finance, they don't climb ladders, they buy staircases. Women respond to architects differently than to any other archetype. Not with anxiety, not with testing, with curiosity. A woman like Olivia in Los Angeles feels something unfamiliar. She isn't evaluating him. She's entering his frame. His life has structure, momentum, direction. She isn't deciding whether he fits her world. She's deciding whether she belongs in his. The architect doesn't promise futures. He demonstrates trajectory. People orbit him. But there is still one final transformation, because architecture without restraint becomes tyranny. And Machiavelli warned, power unchecked eventually consumes itself. Chapter 7, The Sovereign. The sovereign no longer needs to win. He chooses. This is the final separation. He is not driven by fear of loss, not by hunger for approval, not by ambition alone. He governs himself. He knows when to step forward and when to withdraw permanently. In Paris, when chaos erupts, the sovereign leaves. In relationships, when respect fades, he disengages without bitterness. Women feel this immediately. Not abandonment, finality, A woman like Hannah in Sydney understands something wordless. This man does not threaten departure. He has already accepted it. That acceptance creates gravity. The sovereign does not chase loyalty. He inspires it through consistency. His presence feels rare, measured, finite, and humans value what feels finite. Machiavelli's deepest truth was never cruelty. It was restraint. The sovereign is powerful not because he dominates, but because he does not need to. Conclusion. This was never about women. That's the part most men miss. Women are not the objective and they're the mirror. Every principle you just absorbed was about who you become when approval stops mattering. The enforcer taught you consequence. The strategist taught you timing. The architect taught you authorship. The sovereign taught you restraint. Not tactics. Not tricks. Structures. Because the man who chases outcomes is always behind. And the man who builds gravity never needs to chase anything. Women don't remember words. They remember how their nervous system felt around you. Calm or chaotic. Grounded or desperate. Finite or replaceable. Most men are forgotten because they are predictable. You don't become unforgettable by doing more. You become unforgettable by removing yourself from the marketplace entirely. When you stop auditioning, the frame flips. When you stop explaining, silence speaks. When you stop needing, attention follows. If something inside you tightened while listening, comment control. If you're done being available and ready to become inevitable, subscribe. What comes next won't teach you how to attract. It will teach you how to operate above attraction altogether. With that said, thanks for watching and until next time.